everybody. In today's video, I'm going to show you a twist on a fresco style technique that I've done a couple of different ways, but I have a new twist for you today. I have this stunning 3D embossing folder, and I've embossed this on hot press watercolor paper and rubbed some Derwent Inktense blocks over the surface and then activated those with water. The reason that I'm using Derwent Inktense versus a different medium is I'm going to be applying acrylic paint, and if the color that you put down is not water resistant, the paint's going to activate it and change the way this looks. Next, I am taking this wax resist crayon. You could use a couple of different products here. I happen to like this one because I bought it when I bought the matching watercolors, and it's easy to hold and it's clear, which is nice because in this case, I want the color of the flowers to show up as a hint behind this black acrylic paint that I'm watering down. You do want to water the paint down, especially if you use kind of a fast drying paint, because we're going to remove the paint from the wax resist with a damp baby wipe. And for that to work, you'll want the paint to stay wet just a little bit longer, because even on top of the wax, the acrylic paint can dry. The wax just really helps the resist technique happen and helps preserve that color underneath. I thought the black in this case was so elegant with just little tiny bits of pink and blue showing through here and there, and I'll show you in a close-up how sort of kind of magical and almost spooky the color is. I think that this would be a great technique for Halloween cards with the black paint. And you know I love my black acrylic paint. So change out your paper towel, your baby wipes when they get a lot of paint on them, and that will help you remove the resist areas paint and let that color shine through. So look at how that magenta and the blue look peeking through the black. It gives it a stone or granite look, I think, or even possibly a metal, like some oxidized iron or bronze, something like that. So think about the different paint colors that you could get different technique looks with for different types of surfaces. Now we're going to switch to white just to show you a different example. When I've done the fresco technique in the past, I have typically used white paint, and this is going to be very similar with the addition of the resist part. So here I'm adding yellow. I'm using the same blue, the same magenta, and I'm adding yellow because I want an overall color. These are going to mix together and then show through the white paint. So I'm activating these with water. Just know that the Derwent Inktense, they're permanent when they're dry. That's why I'm using them, because acrylic paint will activate them. But they do need to be dry before you move on to the next layer. So I am drying these off camera in between. You can let them air dry, or you can dry them with your heat gun. That is up to you. So I'm rinsing my brush every now and then, just so if I just want to activate the blue or mix the blue and the yellow to create this green for foliage, I can do that. You can also add additional color directly from the Inktense block with a wet paintbrush. So I'll do that here. Add a little bit more of the pink. I love the way it combines with the other two colors to make sort of a more muted color, which is what you would expect to see in a fresco. You wouldn't necessarily expect the vivid, bright colors that you get just when you're using Inktense as a coloring medium. They are Inktense. That's where they got their name. So this blending the three colors together makes them a little more subtle and really pretty when they show through the white paint. So I am going to heat dry this. You'll notice it lightens a little bit, as all watercolors do. And now I'm using the same wax crayon. It develops a flat spot, which really is helpful after you've used it a couple of times, because it will remain parallel to the surface of the embossed paper, and that way it will just hit the highlights. It won't go into the lower areas, and that will enable you to cover all those lower areas with the Fresco / paint color of your choice. I like the resist to be concentrated on the raised areas, which is why a 3D embossing folder is so great for this technique. So I have a little bit of white paint. I will say for the white, you need a little more paint than you do with the black, just because the white naturally won't cover as well as the black will. That black is really intense. So I'm adding a little bit more paint and a little bit more water, just so that the removal from the resist part is easier. I just use my typical gel printing paints here, nothing fancy. Any white acrylic paint will do. So now I am covering up all that beautiful color, and then I will remove it from the resist sections. I don't strive to make this a super even application of paint, because I like the distressed look that you get when you reveal the resist areas. It sort of darkens the flower outlines and really makes it look like a wall-based fresco. And it doesn't need to be perfect, like everything. Nothing needs to be perfect to be really, really beautiful. So I like the imperfection of not necessarily worrying if the paint application is perfect everywhere. So you can sort of go in selectively to areas that you want more color to pop out of. That's fine too. I'm trying to focus just on where the resist crayon was highlighting the edges of those flowers, and you can see how much more intense they are than the rest of the area that didn't have a resist working for it when I went to remove it. But you can really see all three distinct colors, and you'll also notice that the edges where the resist is are shiny. And that's because that wax is shiny. So you get texture and you get this resisted color with this technique that I just find super charming and pretty. So head over to my blog. This is a giveaway YouTube hop today. If you are watching in March of 2023, leave me a comment below to be entered. And I hope you win. Thanks so much for watching.